this is not something for you to debate. Go and debate with Francis Ford Coppola. He's the one that and he's in film. He's the one that made the point. He said, look, the audio, that's about 60 to 70% of the cinematic experience. So that is that burning passion for me. That's where my passion comes from. That story is told in a way that people will listen and buy into it.
Hi, and welcome to the Everything Voiceover podcast. I'm Tcode, an African voiceover talent from Nigeria, and this is my podcast where I take on voiceover topics from an African perspective. Sit back and enjoy this episode.
Okay, so this is the context, this is setting. Namdiwa asked me to do area, to voice act on area. Says, please, it needs to be visceral. So okay, fine, no problem. I don't have money for voiceovers or voiceover artists. Said, no problem. So I'm going to voice I'm going to have to voice as well. I said, sure, no problem. Do you know how to voice? And I can try. Okay. And I directed him. I didn't produce him. I directed him.
Okay. You directed. He voiced on that project, and you directed him.
Prophet, my husband is possessed by an evil spirit.
Wow, that was Nnamdi.
That was Nnamdi, yeah.
Wow, so he was doing he was doing the animation. He was doing the voiceover as well.
Yes, but it wasn't I couldn't do the voiceover for the females, but he did his voice is relatively.
So it was just the both of you as the voiceovers on that project, and
yeah, for the first set of projects anyway.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the biggest projects that you've done. While I was reading your profile, on your profile, it has it that you did a project you're part of a project that is a 4-time Oscar-winning animation. That's the Adman.
No.
Adman animation.
Let's correct that.
Okay.
Adman animation were already a 4-time Oscar-winning animation company.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. It's an animation company.
See, if I had won even half of that, it is my representative that you'll be speaking with before you reach me.
You're right. You're right.
You're greeting with doing press up. You get.
Obviously, Adman Animation is not Nigerian, and you working with them. I know you've also worked with a couple of others too. So, I'd like you to tell me about your voiceover journey outside the shores of Nigeria and Africa. How would you describe it? Getting those jobs, what was that process like? Your international projects that you've worked on, and what that experience was like for you.
Okay, so let me just clarify a few things so that just to give the right context. Yes, the thing that what Adman did was called it was CSR, corporate social responsibility. There's an NGO called Project Everyone, which was focused on encouraging people, especially young ladies with STEM, towards working with the United Nations development goals, yeah, and SDGs. Yes, the SDGs, those goals, and so they did the animation and brilliant storytelling. And they had it done in the local languages for different countries, as in like from Japan, Brazil, France. They had it for different countries in local languages, and I was then approached by someone from Project Everyone, who. Well, this is the gist though. Now, my impression is that the person who contacted me is Stephanie Mason. she and her team probably realized that if I go to do it's called ADR. The technical term is ADR, which is um additional dialogue recording or
Yeah, automated
replacement.
dialogue response or
No, there's
replacement rather. Yeah,
replacement. Yes, yes, and
yeah.
it's not something. It is actually pretty technical. It's actually very
Mm,
technical. You can only do it if you need a voice director to make sure it's sharp. A producer
I
can get
understand.
it done. A producer can get it, can do it, but to like sharp, you need a voice director. And my impression is that they didn't want to move forward because they couldn't confirm that there was a voice director available. And one of my friends, Jennifer Ochindu, who runs Susty Vibes. Jennifer, thank you. If you hear this, thank you. God bless you. She remembered that I'm a voice director, so she put my name forward.
Hmm.
So these people reached out to me from the blues, as like from nowhere, and said, "Hi, we would like to do this project so and that." And I read the email. I saw it in my mind. I was like, "Is these people? Are these people 419? Let's see." So I then read, no, bruh, for real now. I then read it. It was from Stephanie Mason. She was the first person to contact me, and
Hmm.
I read it, and I was like, "This is a simple. It's not a problem now. This is not a project. This is
Hmm.
I can do this. I can get this done." The one that they done in Nigerian English, general in Nigerian local languages. So I then suggested, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Pidgin English, and English. Now
Hmm.
the thing was that when it was we had to go through a whole casting. I then explained the process that would be involved, not just with the voice acting, but what will happen
Yeah.
afterwards. Have you had to work with an Excel sheet yet?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Uh, All right, that's just the warm up. That's that's just the
Wow.
warm up you get. So we did the casting for as in Nigerian English, Pidgin English, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. The Pidgin English was rejected, and I understand why.
Hmm. Why?
The thing is that you may not be aware of it, but Pidgin English in Nigeria has accents. Pidgin English in West Africa
Hmm.
has.
Yeah. Yeah. Different types of pidgin English.
You understand? You can hear lem, chop, chocolate, take down, shoe. All of these things mean eat, but you can't
Hmm.
say all of them at once. So that Port Harcourt people in Warri, people in Benin, people in Lagos, people that will understand. Okay, because there's no how it's going to sound foreign in somebody's ear.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound local in somebody's ear.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we settled on Nigerian English, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. Then I had to oversee the translations, then back translations. Now this is the funny thing, eh?
Yeah.
When I did this project, mm, if I'll tell you two funny things about it. When I did this project, the first thing
And
I did
what year
was
was this?
I believe this was 2019 or 2018.
2019. Oh,
22.
okay.
So this is
Okay.
the funny thing. The first thing I did was look at my competition.
Hmm.
So I checked out the Japanese version. And like I say with my full chest, I smoked them, man. Oh wow.
Wow.
I smoked so far. I
Wow.
du- dusted them. Dusted them. Anybody who can challenge me about it, I say listen to the Japanese version, listen to the Nigerian versions. Then
Hmm.
then then you can say your mind. You get no shame, oh. No shame. I take apologies. I take apologies with Visa or credit Mastercard. Don't worry.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that was the first funny thing. I looked at the Japanese. I then said, okay, no, this is standard I have to beat, and
Hmm.
I beat it very easily, because for for the voice actors, they actually one of them, two of them are voice overs that I had to bring into voice acting.
Mm.
But one of the things I explain to people about the difference between voiceover and voice acting is stamina. You know,
Mm.
voiceover you can be done. You know what it's like now. They say the only time you are
Yeah.
done, the only time you have to go back to what you have done is because of revision.
Mm.
You have no idea what it's like to go back to what you have done to continue
In
another script,
mm.
and you
In voice
be doing
acting.
it's something you'll be doing over the course of like 3 months. Ah,
Mm.
now we
Stamina.
can't. It's not. You understand? You understand?
Mm.
So, yeah, it's a marathon. Voice acting is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. So that's the first funny thing. The second funny thing was
Mm.
that I didn't know Aardman was the one were the ones who produced it, who were the ones who animated it. I had no idea, like
Mm.
none. It was much later I got really something scratched me, as in as we say, it scratched. There was a scratching.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I decided to do. I went deep diving, to study the history behind the animated series, and lo and behold, I saw Aardman. I'm like, wait, Aardman, aren't they Walter and Gromit, Wallace and Gromit? I then went on Wikipedia and confirmed, oh wow, these people have won four Oscar awards.
Oscar awards.
I said,
Wow.
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 Okay.
Interesting story there, Remy. Interesting story. And I would have loved us to even talk or touch of a little one or two because I know you've done a voice job for, was it a video game or just an animation? There was one I remember you referencing where you did a Scottish accent, if I am not mistaken. I would have loved us to touch on that. And then talk
Oh,
about
oh.
yeah, you
The Scottish
remember.
accent. That's it. Scottish accents. Scottish accents for me. They're pretty easy. They're not really a challenge at all. They're not a challenge at all. The thing is that I spent a lot of time with somebody who was Scottish. So between the time that he and I were speaking, I so okay, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. I mean, I used to think that all Scottish people sound like Sean Connery, but he corrected me on that. No,
Hmm.
but the thing what I was talking about was actually my work as French villains.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Not,
see now.
not Scottish. I've not done a Scottish villain yet, but French villains, yeah, yeah. It still surprises me today too, because I'm like, why did they like the French like this now? Somebody give me something challenging, you know. But yeah, I'm grateful for the work. I'm grateful for the faith and the confidence in my ability.
We really kind of exhaust everything, and definitely we'll have another time on this podcast when we'll talk about voice directing itself. But today it seems like we're just doing a background of who Remy is and how far you've come in the industry, especially the animation and voiceover industry, put together. The last thing I want you to talk about is that projects that brought. I think that was it an audiobook project that had the largest gathering of voice talents on one project?
Yes, Naomi Lucas. We had
Oh
actually
yeah.
spoke much earlier about an animated. There was some animation she wanted to produce. I saw the storyboard, a bit of the storyboards. I saw it had promise, but unfortunately, she couldn't get financing for it. So some years later, she reached out to me to do a series called the world's largest. Sorry, what was it called? Yeah, it was called "I Am a Graduate Now" award. That was in
Hmm.
2014. She is. I maintain she is a very brilliant person. Very brilliant person. She wrote a book that was supposed to guide people who are either about to enter university or in university or just finished graduating are looking for jobs or people who are actually just getting jobs. Like that range. She had prepared this document. She had prepared this book to explain to them how they should comport themselves, how they should orient themselves in terms of soft skills, so that it's not just a case of being able to know how to find a job, but to actually find a job and be comport yourself well enough for them to have the confidence to hire you. And not just a case of them
Hmm.
hiring you, but you having the competence to comport yourself while you're doing the job so they will retain you and you get promotions and things like that to essentially just have a career. And she had this brilliant idea of having different people who have proven competence in the subject matters of certain chapters to read them, because apparently she
Hmm.
was writing these people in mind. Now, um, everybody on this project, except two people, which was Mazino Appeal and Osi Ukuje.
Hmm.
Everybody else had no experience in delivering their voices in voice acting or narrate.
In
Nobody.
voice acting.
Nobody.
Wow.
Nobody. Nobody.
Are you saying this are you saying they were not, it's one thing to have experience in voiceovers but not voice acting. You're saying these people
No,
don't even
see,
have
they were not even
experience.
voiceovers. They were not even voiceovers. They were
Wow.
not even voiceovers. As in, I remember
Wow.
Jody, who is such a beautiful person, my goodness. Jody was my first education as to how easy it is for people who sing to enter voice acting,
Hmm.
because they
All
work
right.
tones or tonality. They can key into what it is. So let me know if technicalize the conversation. So yeah, it was 40. It was about 47 people that I had to
Hmm.
walk through in terms of giving in a delivery that with a natural feel for the audiobook series.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I was tell everybody, including you, Mohammed Mijindadi, all of you, I am so very proud of you and what you guys did. I am so
Shout out to
proud of
everyone on that project.
all of them. Do you remember, this ventriloquist that has a dog? Ventriloquist, a puppeteer who does the voice for a dog.
Oh, nah,
Barry,
I don't know him.
Barry, Barry Yusufu. Yes,
Nah, I don't know him.
that he, no, he made me. He he is a medical doctor who just went straight into who decided to just go into puppeteering.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was pretty much the middle ground between people who are novices and people who are experts.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, we did that project in 2015, and as in from Kinde Da Costa Lawrence, who was in charge of audio, to Onye Ubanato, who was in charge of video coverage, to as in like it was a fantastic team.
Mm. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Remy. We've spoken. It's over an hour. Obviously, this is going to be a two-part episode, and if you're listening right now, this is the part two already. Let's
Tolu, enjoy
we need
me,
to.
enjoy me. I'll do your back. I support you, man. Enjoy
Yeah,
me, enjoy me.
I'm really enjoying you. You've taken me through the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 20. Okay, now we're getting into the 2020s, and one of the biggest things that, or no, I shouldn't say it that way, but of of all the things that you've been doing, the most socially related or relatable one is the voice acting Africa, and that's a platform that I believe you started last year. And before that, Seth, I discovered you on a podcast, where you share your experience in voice directing. So tell us a bit about Voice Acting Africa, and then we just bring it to a close.
Okay. First, you have to be kind to me. Which podcast was it that you first heard me on?
Yeah, you have a podcast. You have the Remi Olutimayin podcast, West Africa's first voice director.
See, Please just forgive me. I
Yeah.
learned I learned a long time ago that if I do something, I don't let it sit in my head. I just keep my focus on something else. Yeah, so apologies. I was not trying to form fake big guy. I just put so much out there. I find it difficult to track. I don't bother tracking. I just so when people reference, I just ask, just to be sure. Okay, that's where it came from. So yeah, voice acting Africa. Voice acting Africa is a passion project for me.
Hmm.
It's very personal because, believe it or not, when I voice direct, I remember my very first time in voiceover work. I remember how I had to suppress and suffocate my talent, that my natural energy,
Hmm.
because it made the producer uncomfortable. He didn't know what to do with it, you know. And the only reason,
Yeah.
and it's not as if that the way I bubbled through was new. It's something that
Hmm.
we had all seen in animation. We had seen in so many other things, but there was no. It didn't fit the format that was popular. You
Okay.
understand? So I that
Yeah.
yeah. So so the thing for me, I remember those times. I remember those moments, and I remember having to work my way back through to all of those parts of myself I had to drop for voiceover when I went into voice acting. And I started to ask myself, how many other kids, how many other young people are experiencing this thing right now in Africa? That person that, does the voices, has interesting, takes on whether it's Superman versus Batman. And
Yeah.
and and people use their resting bitch face to greet that talent. I'm like, no, 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 no. See, no. I reached here because of a reason bigger than me. So um, it was near the end of the pandemic, when the pandemic was teetering off. Though we didn't know it at that time, we just knew that things were opening up and things were a lot easier. I started this voice acting Africa. I said, look, wherever you are, come. Wherever you come, it's a safe space. Nobody's going to tell you, oh my God, they are too loud. Oh my God, they are too. Nobody's going to tell you, don't worry. Don't worry. Just come. Say, I don't really understand how. Don't worry. Come and ask your questions. I don't know what I can do with this. Don't worry. We'll find a way.
Hmm.
We'll find something bigger. As in, like, the reason why I even call it voice acting Africa, it's not something that's tied to Africa as a geographical location. It's tied to Africa as a cultural expression. So whether you are African in quotes, or you're African, like say uh, Latino African, whether you're from the Caribbeans, whether you're from, it doesn't matter where you are from, so long as you have African roots. Believe me, the African culture lives in you.
Hmm.
You will enter Africa, you will see where that thing that your auntie used to do comes from. You will see it.
Hmm.
And when you talk about it with those people, you would have connected. It will make so much sense. You can then build relationships from that. You will find it. And that for me, I was like, as I see, and let me give you three things that will bust your brain on this matter. Plantain, dodo,
Yeah.
dodo. Oh wow. Mangoes. You will be surprised how much you have in connection with people from Haiti, the Dominican Republic. As in, like, we are connected.
Hmm.
The people that they took from here into those places didn't just Africa did not disappear with them. Africa was carried over the oceans with them.
Yeah.
So their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren, all of their descendants have things. They still carry that African culture with them.
Hmm.
They may wish it was more detailed, but believe me, I believe that they have more than enough. See, Jay-Z is the ultimate Igbo man. He's the ultimate Igbo man. Look, I know that I am not fine, but I married the most beautiful maiden in the land. So,
And he's a
go and
dope
cry. Don't worry.
businessman.
Oh, see, and he's much older than her again. As in the Igbo trope. So see, when people, I think Africa culture, don't. So anyway, back
Yeah,
to voice acting Africa.
yeah.
Um, my aim is to create a space for people who want to go into voice acting and are doubtful about where their heritage comes into play, and let them know that your heritage has a space. It has its value. Let us experience its value here. This space is for you to experience that value. No, that's the driving force.
Behind
That's the
voice acting
driving force.
Africa. And so for over a
Yeah.
year, and I'm not sure it's up to 2 years now, but Voice Acting Africa has been on Telegram. I've been a part of it as well, or I am a part of it actually. So you have the opportunity right now. It's an open call anyway. For the sake of those who are willing or who will be willing to join Voice Acting Africa, how can they be a part of Voice Acting Africa? And when do Voice Acting Africa meet on Clubhouse or Telegram?
All right. So you can find us on Instagram at Voice Acting Africa. As in, like, yeah, yes, you will find us there. You will find us there. You will find us there, and you can meet up with us on Clubhouse on Tuesdays and Fridays. Now on Instagram, you will come across our bio. In the bio, you come across our Clubhouse room, a link to our Clubhouse rooms, um, and please, when you come in, please come in there with an open heart. Just be open. Just be open. There's
Yeah.
no you are there's nothing you have nothing left to prove. Just just enjoy enjoy and connect. You know. If you have access to Telegram, during the meetings we always share the Telegram link to whoever asks for it. There on Telegram link, you can then meet with the community. No, don't worry. It's not one of those. It's not our parents or uncle or aunties WhatsApp that we. But whatever questions you have, things that you're curious about, you will find us there.
All right.
We don't beat each other. There's no controversy. We're pretty much a family, from Australia to New York to the Caribbean to as like, yeah, we are ably represented. Canada, don't worry. Doesn't matter how far away you're from. Don't just come in. Just come in. You're fine. You're welcome.
Wow, thank you so much, Remi. It's been a pleasure hosting you here. If you have any final words, this will be the right time to say so. And how can people connect with you as well for voice acting, voice directing, or just voiceover jobs?
All right. So you can find me on Instagram at Olutimayin Remi, or you can find me on Twitter at Remi Olutimayin. But essentially, I'll just say this: you can do a Google search on my name, and you'll be able to track me down. I'm not hidden. I'm not stealing anybody's money. I'm not. But I would say this, that for me, I bring 20 years of experience to the fore, not to raise myself up. That's not what I'm interested in. What my interest has always been in is that project that just works well. All the moving parts work well. Area success is not an accident. People, one thing I like to clarify for people, especially people in animation and things like that, your graphics are 30% of the storytelling. If people hear your character and they don't believe your character, they can't buy into what your character is saying or how the character is saying it. This is not something for you to debate. Go and debate with Francis Ford Coppola. He's the one that made and he's in film. He's the one that made the point. He said, look, the audio, that's about 60 to 70% of the cinematic experience. So that is that burning passion for me. That's where my passion comes from. That story is told in a way that people would listen and buy into it. It didn't take you any effort, in quotes, aside from just clicking play to connect with the characters on area.
Yeah.
And that's not because you're not educated. That's not because you're not exposed. That's not because you're not really seeing quality cartoons before. Hey, our best oh well. And I let them understand. I let whoever it is that's listening to understand that the house is fantastic, but if the foundation is not on point, it's not safe. The voice acting is what makes it safe. You can have illusions in your head about this is the way it's supposed to sound. No. I've been a storyteller for over 40 years. It's not that I know better than you. No. It may be your story, but you are not your audience. I'm thinking for your audience. I'm not thinking for your ego. I'm not thinking for your ego. I'm not thinking for how all my friends say. No. I'm thinking for the audience. How are they going to receive this thing? And they receive it. I'm yet to get any complaints about my work. I've been doing this thing like a long time. Nobody has come to me, oh my goodness, this thing is so very fake. It has not happened. It hasn't happened yet. And for me, I don't put that to, oh my goodness, my skill. No. See, I am restless. I am so very restless if I don't get that performance that I can hear in the voice actors. Even right now as we speak, I'm not sure if I've told you this before, but part of what comes with my autism, my Asperger's autism superpower, is that I'm voice casting people all the time. So even right now, even as we've been speaking, you have no idea where I've been casting you for. No, I'm serious.
Awesome.
I'm very, so that's how
Wow.
deep it runs. And people just think, my conversational voice is not. Look, there's a place for it. When it enters the right context, it will be gold. Let me thank you for this. So, you allowed an old man to come and talk for a very long time. I remember 1985 when you buy something and meat because you had malaria. They don't
Oh
mean
my God.
they make you eat it. He's sweeter than disgusting. It's sweet. Poverty makes everything sweet. Hunger makes everything edible. So that's how you come again. Yeah. So thanks.
No, I should thank you. I really should be the one thanking you so much for your time. And for the record, this is the second time I'm doing this. I remember the first time it didn't work well. I mean, after a whole session as long as this, it ended up not recording, of which I thought it was. So I'm glad we're able to pull this through the second time. Thank you so much, Remi. And I hope we can do this another time, probably on a different subject. We'll talk voice directing.
Oh, I would
pleasure.
I would really love that. As in, I have so many stories over the last 12 years. Yeah, so many stories. So many stories. Wow. So many stories.
Awesome. All right, Remi. We'll do this another time. And till then, I say keep voicing.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell someone about it. Follow the podcast on Everything VOs on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening and see you on the next episode.